The $15 million inheritance from our parents was going to be mine. At least that's what my sister believed. She always thought our parents favored her, claiming they loved her more than someone as plain as me. She never lifted a finger when it came to arranging their funeral after their sudden passing, yet the moment the service was over, she was eager to talk about money. The way she demanded her share was almost laughable. "Take it all if it means that much to you," I said, my voice steady. "But promise me one thing. Never contact me again." She smirked, shaking her head. "You don't get it, do you? You're the one being cut off, not me." With that, she let out a mocking laugh as I turned my back on her. I had already lost my parents, and now I was losing my sister too. But strangely, I felt nothing. No sadness, no regret. "My name is Kate. I'm 36 years old and work in an office. Our parents were entrepreneurs, always launching new businesses. Because of their success, my younger sister Haley and I had privileged lives, attending top private schools and prestigious universities. After graduation, I got a stable job and started planning my future. Haley, on the other hand, never even tried to find a real job. She floated from one temporary gig to another, living without any real goals. Despite her careless attitude, our parents always supported her. No matter how recklessly she spent their money, they kept funding her lifestyle. Meanwhile, they constantly reminded me to be responsible, to manage my finances wisely, and to secure my future. The double standard was obvious, but the reason was just as clear. Haley was beautiful. She had inherited all the best features from our family. Our mother's large, striking eyes with double eyelids, our father's sharp nose and perfect eyebrows, even our grandmother's naturally elegant figure. Wherever she went, people noticed her. She was charming, adored, and effortlessly popular. I, on the other hand, took after the less remarkable side of our family. My features were ordinary: my mother's small nose, my father's narrow eyes with single eyelids, and my grandfather's rather plain physique. While Haley turned heads with her beauty, I blended into the background. It had always been this way. And now, even in the face of something as serious as our parents' passing, Haley was still playing the role she had always known, the entitled, favored daughter. But this time, I wasn't going to play along. She could have everything: the money, the inheritance, the illusion of winning. But in the end, she was the one left behind. As a child, I was naturally shy and slow to connect with relatives. For 7 years, I was the beloved first grandchild, cherished by my family. But everything changed when Haley was born. She inherited all the best features from our parents and grandparents: big, bright eyes, delicate features, and an effortlessly beautiful presence. From the moment she arrived, the attention that once surrounded me shifted entirely to her. I adored Haley, though. As a toddler, she followed me everywhere, calling my name in her tiny voice. I took care of her, helping her with everything. It made me happy to have a little sister who looked up to me. But as she grew, so did the admiration from others. By the time she was in elementary school, she was so stunning that talent scouts approached her for modeling and entertainment gigs. Magazines wanted her, people adored her, and everywhere we went, she became the center of attention. At first, I didn't mind. But as I entered middle school, I started noticing the painful differences between us. Sometimes, when scouts came to sign Haley, they would glance at me as well, only to quickly lose interest. Her friends would make casual remarks about how different we looked, as if I was just an unfortunate comparison to her beauty. No matter what I did, I was always seen as Haley's less attractive sister. Even when I put effort into my appearance, wearing stylish clothes and carefully applying makeup, it didn't matter. Haley could be in a simple school tracksuit, laughing without a care in the world, and people would still find her more charming. I tried to watch my diet, making sure I ate healthily, yet Haley, who would snack on sweet pastries late at night, still had the better figure. It didn't take long for Haley to realize the power her beauty gave her. By high school, she had stopped being the sweet little sister who followed me around. Instead, she began using her looks as a weapon against me. Her teasing started off small, but it quickly became relentless. She would take my things and hide them just to watch me get frustrated. If I saved up my allowance to buy a nice dress, she would somehow end up wearing it first, claiming it as her own. And the worst part? She knew our parents would always take her side. Sometimes, she would go into my room, stage a dramatic scene by placing her clothes around, and then burst into tears, claiming I had stolen them. No matter how much I protested, our parents never doubted her for a second. "Kate, you're the older sister," they would say. "Don't be mean to Haley." Or worse, "Haley is just teasing you because she loves you. She's your little sister, so forgive her for being playful." It didn't matter what I said or did. In their eyes, Haley could do no wrong. And me? I was always the villain in a story I never even wrote. I started locking my door at night just to feel safe, but instead of support, I was scolded. "How can you not trust your own family?" my parents would say, completely ignoring why I felt the need to do it in the first place. I had endured enough. As soon as I graduated from university, I moved out and started living alone. Even when my parents wished for me to visit, I refused. I took on temporary jobs during the holidays just to avoid going back to that house. Distance was my only way to breathe. Then, for years later, everything changed. Our parents were killed in a sudden car accident. For the first time in years, Haley and I stood face to face at the funeral. She was in tears the entire time, sobbing as if the world had crumbled around her. I cried too, but unlike her, I handled the arrangements. There was no time to grieve properly. I had to deal with relatives, my parents' business partners, and the dozens of people who came to pay their respects. But amid the sorrow, there was an issue that couldn't be ignored. The inheritance. Haley and I were the only heirs. I knew exactly how that conversation would go before it even started. We met at our childhood home, sitting across from each other for the first time in years. The moment I brought up the estate, she wasted no time. "Our parents' estate is worth $15 million, she said, her voice dripping with confidence. "I'm taking it all. After all, they loved me more. I mean, it's obvious. Who would leave anything to someone as plain as you?" Then, with a smirk, she added, "Oh, do you need money for plastic surgery?" I didn't even react. "I don't want it," I said simply. Haley's face twisted in shock. "What?" "No matter how much I think about it, I don't want the inheritance," I repeated. I was exhausted, emotionally, mentally, physically. I hadn't even had time to mourn properly. Instead, I had spent days managing guests, answering condolences, and pretending not to hear the whispers. Are they really sisters? They look nothing alike. Every time someone said it, I saw the satisfaction in Haley's eyes. She enjoyed it. And that alone made me even more certain of my decision. "You can have all 15 million, I told her. "But there's one condition." At the mention of a condition, Haley tensed. Her eyes sharpened, wary of what I might say next. "I won't inherit anything," I clarified. "In exchange, I'm severing all ties with you today. From now on, we are no longer family. We won't contact each other, and we won't ask for help, ever." Haley looked stunned at first. But then, when she realized the terms were in her favor, a slow, triumphant grin spread across her face. $15 million and I get to cut you off? She scoffed. "That's perfect. Why would I ever want to stay in touch with someone as ugly as you?" She crossed her arms, looking smug. "Just don't come crawling back when you need money." I ignored her laughter and walked out of that house for the last time. My family was gone, my parents, now my sister. But instead of sadness, all I felt was relief. For the first time in my life, I was free. 4 months later, my peace was shattered. Haley started calling me repeatedly. At first, I ignored her, but the calls kept coming. Since I used my phone for work, I couldn't just turn it off. Frustrated, I finally picked up. "Kate." Haley's voice came through the line, frantic and unsteady. "I need a favor." "I don't have a sister," I said firmly. "Stop calling me." I tried to hang up, but Haley's voice kept pouring through the phone. She didn't apologize for breaking our agreement. Instead, she ranted as if nothing had changed. "After Mom and Dad died, I tried to use their savings," she said, completely ignoring my frustration. But a friend who works at City Hall asked if I had consulted anyone about the inheritance tax. I didn't respond, but she continued. It's my inheritance, right? I mean, I'm their daughter, so their money should be mine. Why should I have to pay taxes just to receive my own father's money? I sighed, rubbing my temples. And my friend said I should talk to a lawyer, but I don't know any lawyers. I don't know anything about all this, so I need you to handle it for me. The sheer absurdity of her request gave me a headache. After all that had happened, she had the audacity to act like I was still responsible for her problems. But arguing with Haley was pointless, so I decided to stick to the facts. You don't have to pay inheritance tax in this case, I said flatly. The exemption limit is $2.0 million, and since I renounced my share, you're the sole heir. I've already notified a lawyer that I won't be involved, so I have no legal rights over Dad's estate anymore. There was a pause before Haley responded. Oh, that's great. You should still talk to a lawyer to get the details, I warned. Just so you know, inheriting money isn't automatic. When someone dies, their assets don't instantly go to their family. First, a legal representative handles everything, paying off debts, settling taxes, and distributing the remaining assets. If Dad's money was in a bank account under his name only, you can't access it until probate is granted. That's the law. Haley suddenly went quiet. It was obvious she had never bothered to check any of this before assuming she would walk away with millions. Anyway, I added, don't contact me again. She had nothing to say after that. The call ended. I stared at my phone, finally enjoying the silence. If Haley kept going like this, she would eventually realize her fantasy of inheriting $15 million was nothing but a misunderstanding. But explaining it to her? Fixing her problems for her? No, thanks. For the first time in a long while, I felt at peace. Later, Haley eventually consulted a lawyer, but instead of getting good news, she was hit with a harsh reality. The $15 million wasn't just cash sitting in a bank waiting for her. That was the total value of our parents' estate, including their businesses, assets, and liabilities. Most of that wealth was tied up in the companies they had built over the years, meaning it couldn't just be withdrawn like pocket money. Worse, Haley discovered something even more shocking. Because she had no involvement in our parents' businesses, she wasn't entitled to most of their assets. On top of that, she had unknowingly signed paperwork that made her responsible for certain debts. Some of those debts came from business loans she was now legally required to repay. Panicked, she clung to the lawyer, desperately asking, how much of the inheritance can I actually get? By the time the debts were deducted, her grand $15 million inheritance had shrunk to just about $2 million. And she wasn't happy about it. That's when the calls started again.
Ring. Ring.
I saw Haley's name flashing on my phone screen. I sighed, already knowing what was coming. She was crying. Kate, please pick up. I'm only getting $2 million? This doesn't make any sense. Haley's voice trembled with frustration. That was still a huge amount, like winning the lottery. But to someone who had expected $15 million, it felt like a loss. Didn't I tell you not to contact me anymore? I said coldly. But Haley didn't care. She kept calling, crying over the phone, acting like her life was ruined. As if that wasn't enough, her troubles didn't stop there. The rumors began. Even though her actual inheritance wasn't even close to $2 million, rumors started spreading that Haley had inherited a massive $15 million fortune. Word traveled fast. Suddenly, unknown relatives, old acquaintances, and so-called friends came out of nowhere, begging for money. Some were persistent, others were aggressive. Strangers showed up at her door. Worse, she even started receiving threats, blackmailers, and extortionists demanding a share. Desperate, she flooded my voicemail with messages. Kate, help me. Where are you? I'm suffering so much. From the way she spoke, it was clear. She had tried to find me. But I had long since moved out of my old apartment. She had nowhere to turn. Eventually, she went to the police, hoping they would put an end to the harassment. But the officers were hardly sympathetic. After all, she had started this mess herself. She had bragged about inheriting millions. She had bought expensive designer bags for her friends, flaunting her supposed wealth. The rumors had spread because of her own actions. The police could only do so much. Their final advice? Move somewhere else. But instead of taking their advice, Haley's focus suddenly shifted. A new obsession, the man of my dreams. One day, the tone of her voicemail changed completely. Kate, I met the man of my dreams. Olivier is amazing. He doesn't even know about my inheritance. He truly loves me. I sighed. This had scam written all over it. And sure enough, I was right. She had met Olivier by chance, and within weeks, they started dating. The moment he found out she had a lot of money, he began whispering in her ear. He convinced her that banks were unsafe, that she should withdraw all her money and keep it in a home safe instead. Haley, blinded by love, ignored every warning from the bank. She closed her account, converted most of her inheritance into cash, and placed it all in a safe inside her apartment. The very next day, the safe was empty. And Olivier?
Gone.
Kate, I've been betrayed. I woke up to another flood of voicemail messages. I was deceived. Olivier was only after my money. This is the worst. My whole life is ruined. Her voice was filled with anger, heartbreak, and frustration. But I didn't feel sorry for her. This wasn't an accident, it was stupidity. What kind of person blindly trusts a man who, right after learning about their money, tells them to empty their bank account and keep everything in cash? Instead of crying to me, she should have been more careful. But the calls didn't stop. Kate, where are you? Let's live together. Strangers keep coming to my place every day. Help me. Haley's fall from luxury. After losing most of her money, Haley could no longer afford the luxury apartment she had been renting. With nowhere else to go, she moved back to our old family home. But the moment people found out she was back, new problems arose. Distant relatives and opportunistic friends started showing up, acting like they had a right to be there. You shouldn't live in such a big house alone. Why don't we stay here with you? Some were pretending to be concerned. Others were outright trying to move in. Day after day, she was surrounded by people trying to take advantage of her situation. She was mentally exhausted. And now, twice a day, she left voicemail messages begging for my help. The last call. And finally, I made up my mind. One evening, as Haley's calls kept coming in like clockwork, I picked up. Hello, I said flatly. Aren't you tired of leaving these annoying messages every single day? Are you really that bored? For a moment, there was stunned silence. Then Haley's voice, shaky and desperate, came through the line. Kate, you answered. Please help me. I can't take this anymore. I hate this life. I want to live with you. Her words poured out in a panic, as if she thought I would rush to her side. But I had no intention of doing that. Did you forget our deal? I asked. I gave up my share of the inheritance in exchange for never hearing from you again. How many times have you broken that promise? I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, she cried. Please, just come and get me. I don't know where else to go. Please help me. Her words tumbled over each other, a mess of apologies and pleas. But she wasn't really listening to me. She never had. No, I said firmly. Haley's sobs grew louder. Kate, please. I only picked up because this is the last time we'll ever speak. I'm changing my number, so it's pointless for you to keep calling. You're just wasting your money on phone charges. I took a deep breath and continued, my voice calm and final. Honestly, I feel great. The person who constantly lied to me, insulted me, and made my life miserable is out of my life. And not because I pushed her away, she destroyed herself. Now, I get to live happily, and you should figure out how to do the same. Haley let out a sharp, desperate scream. I heard her pleading, begging for help, maybe even asking for forgiveness. But that had nothing to do with me anymore. I had kept my promise. I never contacted her. She was the one who ruined herself. And now, I was truly free. I hung up, turned off my phone, and walked out of my apartment with light steps. My first stop? The mobile store. A new number, a fresh start. A life without Haley. Since then, life has been peaceful. I moved into a new home, started focusing on my career, and kept pushing myself forward. One day, my boss called me into his office. You know, he said, you used to get discouraged when comparing yourself to others. But that's not the case anymore. You've grown a lot. During lunch, a coworker laughed and said, you used to say things like, I'm just not good enough, but you don't anymore. You seem brighter, more confident. They were right. For the first time in my life, I wasn't living in Haley's shadow. I wasn't comparing myself to anyone. I had finally learned to appreciate myself for who I was, not who I wasn't. I may no longer have family, but I have peace. And peace is worth more than any inheritance.